Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is part of our Leadership Team series of webinars that we do on a monthly basis. And today what we're going to be talking about is the chapter web pages. Every chapter in BNI that is out there has a chapter website, and this is a template-driven site, so it's something that we've created for you through BNI Connect. It's hosted in BNI Connect, but you have the ability to go in and make updates and edits and change the text and put up your own pictures and things like that. But at the same time, it's pulling information automatically from BNI Connect as well. So a lot of things such as the chapter roster and where you meet and who's the president and who's the vice president and who's your director consultant and what's the address, and all of that information and all the member profiles are automatically populated by BNI Connect. So it's kind of the best of both worlds here. You have the power of BNI Connect populating the sites, but you can use your creativity to really make the site your own. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you some of the basics. This is kind of a 101 level course into how to go in and make those kind of edits and make those kind of changes on your website and how the tool actually works here in BNI Connect. So before we get started, just a couple of really quick housekeeping things to get out of the way. Firstly, this is a live webinar, so those of you that are listening to me right now, you guys get to ask questions. If you have any questions as we're going through the material today, just type those questions in. I'll see a notification pop up on my screen, and I'll be able to answer those questions as we're going through the presentation today. For those of you that are listening to this via recording, you're always welcome to send me email questions, support@bniconnect.com. We are going to make this recording available in a couple of different ways. Firstly, on our support site, if you click on the question mark in the upper right-hand corner when you're logged into BNI Connect, that will take you to support.bniconnect.com, and you'll see a link that says live and recorded webinars. That'll be our list of upcoming webinars, as well as all of our previous ones that we've recorded. So you can check out the recordings there. You can also share them. We also will put them up on YouTube, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, and you'll find things up there as well. All right, so we do have a question. Eric says, as appropriate, could you explain whether it's possible to override data coming from BNI Connect and how that would be done? So I can show you places where you can change what's coming out, and there's going to be a lot of places where you can't change what's coming out. But Eric, as we're going through that, I'll try to keep that in mind and point stuff like that out. So you do have some pretty good opportunity to get creative with this while still staying within the parameters of the site. And then, of course, you can always link to an external site if there's something that you're looking to do that's completely and totally outside the box. But before doing that, I always recommend talking to your executive director to make sure that they're okay with it. All right, does that help, Eric? Cool. All right, so as I said, we're scheduled for about 30 minutes. It takes about a half hour or so, give or take 5 minutes to go through the material, depending on the questions. That said, I'm always happy to stay on these calls until every question has been answered. This is what I do all day, every day. I answer questions about BNI Connect. So let's dive in. Let's talk about these chapter websites, all right? So the chapter websites are really, they're a sub-page or a sub-site as part of your regional website. Now, if you don't know what your regional website is, there's different regions throughout the world in BNI. So I happen to be a member here in Rhode Island. That's our region of BNI. So our region has a website, bniri.com. But if you're in, let's say, Houston, Texas, or Dallas, Fort Worth, you may be in an area that has a website. Maybe BNIDFW.com for Dallas Fort Worth, or BNI Mass for BNI Massachusetts. Every executive director has their own website out there. If you'd like to know which one it is, click on this regional website button up here in the upper right-hand corner. So this will take you to your regional website. This is, again, my regional website where I am a member. And if I go to find a chapter, I can do a search for all the chapters in the region if I want to. And my chapter is the Wakefield chapter. So this is just the chapter details page, but I can also go and visit the chapter website. Right? And this is our chapter website. It is 99% just out of the box. Our chapter webmaster, again, I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not a creative webmaster myself. We've added this little like button here so people can go and like our Facebook page. But other than that, this is for the most part an out-of-the-box website. So you can see it has our meeting details down the left-hand side, who our president and vice president, the membership count. It has who our upcoming speakers are for the next 4 weeks or so. We also have a members page where we can go through. You can see all of the different members. So, and this is all their profiles. As long as they've done their profile in BNI Connect, their profile will be here as well. And then there's a couple of other pages that you can activate at your discretion. Let's go and look at another chapter website, because again, this is an out-of-the-box website. As a matter of fact, if you want to see one completely out of the box, we have antarcticreferrals.com. And if I go to the Burr chapter, so let me do a search for the chapters here in Antarctica. This is our test area. So we have the Chilly Hillbillies and the Frosty Five and the Frozen Assets, but we have our Burr chapter. Go see the chapter website. And again, this is a 100% completely out of the box. Absolutely nothing has changed on it, but it's still showing, for example, all of the chapter members are in here. So Alfred E. Newman, for example. And again, as long as people are updating it in BNI Connect, they will appear there. So let's look at a couple of other ones, though, out there. So one of my favorites is the BNI Rugby chapter. BNI Rugby. And they're in the Warwickshire, UK region here. So if I click on this one, now you can see that they've made a lot of changes to their website. So they have all of these fast links over on the left-hand side, which is a plugin. They have the Facebook and Twitter ones up here as well in the upper right-hand corner. It still has this common information. So again, that's just like a default website over here. But the middle is really where they got, where you get to get creative. And if we go through here, you can see they made a really, really long page with tons of graphics in here and some nice, models. It has some videos that are part of this as well. A link so that you can register to visit one of their meetings. Some quotes from members. Another video from Dr. Meisner. There, thank you for closed business. Another video. So, I mean, they have a lot of stuff on this page, a map. And then if we go back and we go through some of the other pages, we can go to the chapter members. And again, what we'll see here is that they've kept the top. They added a header to their page here that stays consistent as you go through. There's also a page called the Chapter Gallery, and you can use this like a blog sort of situation for your chapter, but it allows you to go through and upload really photo galleries of pictures. So we can see pictures of their members giving their 10-minute presentations, for example. And then finally, there is a news screen that allows you to go, and this is a shared page, the news screen, that allows you to have your chapter be able to edit this one page and add things to it without having access to the full site. John has a question. He says, how can I see your screen? Is everybody able to see my screen, or is John just having trouble accessing it? Okay, so Judy says she can see it. John is able to see it. Oh, okay, so you got it. All right, cool. He's got it. Awesome. All right, so again, this news is kind of a special page that has access through the operations menu that people can access this page and edit it kind of as a group shared page. All right, so that's one chapter. Let me just show you one more. There is a chapter up there called the Golden Ideas chapter. Oops, Golden Ideas. Let me try Golden Ideas BNI. There we go. And this is the Golden Ideas chapter. It's just another fun thing that they've done with their page. A little bit less elaborate than the BNI Rugby chapter. But again, they've added a map. They've added a message from the current president. It still has listed all of their current members. They also have their chapter members page. They have a gallery that they're keeping. They're the University Club. And then they have their chapter news page as well. Looks like they haven't updated that one in a while. So again, these are the chapter web pages. Does that give you a little bit of an idea, Eric, of what you can edit and what you can't? I mean, as we get into the pages themselves, I'll show you a little bit more as well. But generally speaking, the center portion of the pages, and as you get into the sub-pages or the secondary pages, it's going to be largely the header and the footer that you'll be able to edit. The stuff in the middle is a little bit more off limits. All right, so let's go ahead and look at how do we actually go in and edit these things. So on a good note, one of the great things about BNI Connect is that it's all just in the BNI Connect. You don't have to go to a whole separate website or anything like that. Once you become so people that have permissions to edit the website are going to be the leadership team. So the president, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, by default, they have access to do this. And then also the chapter webmaster. So you have to be assigned as a chapter webmaster though. So your region, your director consultant or your regional office or your executive director would have to assign you as the chapter webmaster in order to be able to edit these pages. So with that said, once you become the chapter webmaster, you should see a thing here called tools. So you have network operations, reports, and tools. Under tools, there's a thing that says CMS, and you would probably only see chapter websites. So tools, CMS, chapter websites. And once we get here, it will show you all of the websites that you have access to. So I'm a system admin, so I have access to everything in Antarctica, but more than likely you would just see your own chapter listed here. So this will tell you what your chapter, your hyperlink, your URL to your chapter is. And again, this is the Burr chapter in Antarctica. And this is a 100% completely out of the box default template site. You can see I actually just created the whole thing about 15 minutes before the call. You can see who created it, and then we can go in and edit it under this options icon. All right, so now we're in the kind of the back end of the website. And what we're looking at now is the different tabs of different things we can do with the site. So the first thing is the pages. So this is showing us our chapter pages. So we have the home page, the chapter members page. So if I go back out here, you'll notice at the bottom I have two things. I have what's called the preview URL and the live URL. And this is a very important distinction. When we're working in the websites, when we're making changes to the websites, we're changing out pictures, we're modifying the text. Nobody else sees that but you. What you're doing is you're actually working on a copy of the website. Again, you're working on a copy of it. When you're ready to share it with the rest of the world, you then need to publish it. And what publishing does is it takes the site that you're working on and it overwrites the live one that everybody else is seeing. So it'll have a little blip of about 3 seconds where it's not available, and then it will then start displaying everything that you've done to it. All right, so in order to see the changes, you're going to have to publish it. And that's what this publish button does, is it takes anything on your preview site and overwrites the live site. But I can click on this site and I can see what we're working on here. So I have the home, chapter members, and news. And if you see, we have home, the home page, chapter members, and news. There's actually another page here called the gallery, but it's currently hidden, right? That one's not showing up here. If we wanted to, though, we could show that page by clicking the show button. And now if I refresh this page, I should see, uh-oh, it's not showing that. Ah, that's right, I didn't publish my changes yet. So I'm going to go ahead and publish that. And now when I refresh it, now I should have another tab up here called Gallery. And the reason that's hidden by default is that it doesn't make any sense to have an empty picture gallery up there. So that's our home page. Now you'll see that there's these things with chevrons as well. Those are the sub pages. So once we get into chapter members, there's a members details, chapter details, and send message sub pages. So that would be if I go to chapter members and I pull somebody up. So let's say myself here, Jeremy. So this is the member details pages. So there's certain elements of this page that you can edit. And if I click on the chapter name, that will take us to a chapter details page, right? So there's certain pieces of this page that you can edit. And if I go back, and actually let me choose somebody else here, Adam Sandler, there is a send message icon that allows somebody to send a message to you. And this will go to your real live email address, but there's certain parts of this page that you can edit as well. So that's what all of those are. Now, before we get into the details of those pages, there's also some things along the top here that we have, and we have other tabs. So we had the pages, we have a library tab, a site information tab, and as soon as we enabled that gallery page, we also have a gallery tab. So let's look at the library first. And what the library is if you want to put any pictures on your website, you got to put them up on our servers, right? So you got to get them off of your computer and into our servers. And that's what the chapter library is. Fairly easy to use. All we do is go to images, we click on upload. This will allow us to search our computer. And let's say I'm going to go to, let's see, I'm going to grab this BNI Connect logo, and I'm going to grab this Get Connected, Stay Connected, and I'm going to grab this Help logo. So if you hold down the control button, you can take up to 3 files at a time and upload them. And now I have pictures up in my library, so when I go in to edit my pages, I'll be able to utilize those pictures. Of course, if you don't like them, you can always put a check mark on it and delete it. There is a 5 megabyte limit per file. All right, so image can be a maximum of 5 megabytes, but you can have unlimited images. So you can have hundreds of images up there in the library. That's okay. You can also upload documents. So let's say that there's some type of PDF file or something like that that you want to share. You can put it in to the documents as well. Now, of course, there's Flash objects as well. This is just it's an older plugin. I don't think anybody uses Flash anymore, and kind of don't recommend it. But if you insist, there you could upload Flash objects as well. Most people just upload images, though. All right, so the next tab over is the site information. And there's really not too much to do on this page, but just one really important thing on this page for us to look at. Right here we have the chapter folder name. And the chapter folder name is essentially the URL for your site. So right now it shows you here what the domain name is. So if I wanted to tell somebody to go to this website, I would tell them, okay, just go to antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-bni-brr. right? That's a ridiculously long URL for a site and kind of a confusing one. That's just because it was auto-generated. So it just generates the name here by the name of the region and then the name of the chapter with dashes where there's any spaces or illegal characters. So I can change that though. Like if instead of it being, antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-bni--- burr, I can just make this, let's say BNI burr, right? Something like that. Or I can just make it, the burr chapter. Yeah, so I can, again, I can make that kind of be whatever I'd like to, and then click update. And now my site will end up being antarcticreferrals.com/burr. But of course, I do need to publish those changes to make them live. And now I should be able to get to antarcticreferrals.com/burr. So that makes it a little bit easier to use. Now there are other things on here as well. I don't recommend changing any of those. That is just the different buttons that are up in the upper right-hand corner of the site. So you'll notice that we have a region website, BNI International, BNI Connect, and then this visit chapter. Theoretically, you can change those by changing the names here. But again, I don't recommend it. What I recommend doing is checking with your executive director first. There are some standards that we do like to keep so that there is commonality between the websites. If you are using Google Analytics or some other analytic program, you're welcome to put that code in here so you can track who's visiting and what they're doing when they get there. All right, there's one more tab, and it's just called the gallery. And if you remember, that gallery tab is this is that special kind of photo gallery for your chapter. So what you can do is start creating albums up here. So I could create an album, test album, testing, submit that. And then once I have albums, I can then put photos into the album. Now these photos you do have to do one at a time because they're going to ask you for a title for each one of them. So I can only upload the one at a time. But now when I go back, let me publish this page. And we have a gallery that now has an album that now has a picture. All right, so let's get into the kind of the meat and potatoes of this, and that's going to be editing the pages themselves. So as we said, we have all these pages. Under each page, we have a couple of options. We can edit the name. So editing the name will allow you to change basically that button name that's up there. So, home, this could be our chapter or whatever is listed here, right? So I could, again, going to the page, we have home and chapter members, gallery, news. So we can change the name of any of those buttons, those pages. Judy has a question. So the picture isn't posted yet. Judy, since I published the page, the picture is posted in the gallery. So under the test album, there's the picture with the caption that I put on there, smiles. So this is fully published at this point. All right. Cool. Thanks, Judy. All right, so that's the name. You can edit the name of these pages. You can also work on the meta tags. So this will help you with your search engine optimization. You can put in a description, keywords, and meta tags. I do not profess to be an expert on meta tags. I would highly recommend, if you're not already an expert, talk to the SEO person in your chapter. And then the final thing we have is edit content. And this is the exciting piece where we get to go in and actually get creative and put stuff on our websites. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you'll notice that this just popped open in a new page, right? If you click this edit content button and nothing happens, that means you have fallen victim to a pop-up blocker. So just temporarily disable your pop-up blocker, and it will allow this to open up. All right, so here's our edit page. You'll notice that down this left-hand side, right, we don't really have any option to edit that. Same thing with the speakers down here at the bottom. That's stuff that is going to get automatically inserted into the chapter site. So the place that we can change is all this stuff where all these tools are, where we'll be able to go in and, again, we can make one super long page, we can make a shorter page, we can make multi-column pages. This is where we can kind of be as creative as we want to within this area. Now, before you get started on that, for those of you that are web designers, web programmers, you'll be happy to know there is a source button here. That will take you into the source code for your chapter. One thing I do recommend doing is to go in and copying this source code, Control A, Control C, and I'm just going to drop this into a quick notepad document, and I'm going to save that for later. Because once you start going in, we don't really save backup copies or historical versions. It is, it overwrites it, and once you overwrite it, you no longer have a backup copy. So if you want to revert back, obviously I could always supply you with the source code for, the basics, but other than that, you're going to have to rely on your own backups. Eric says, can you code in PHP or just HTML? I'm going to be honest with you, I don't 100% know the answer to that. I'll tell you what, let me just drop that question in with the rest of my support team here. CMS, can you code in PHP or only in HTML? Cool. Let's see if Frank Ruiz is our website expert on the team. So if he's around, he'll answer that. And I will let you know if I get that answer. If I don't get an answer before the end of this webinar, just shoot me an email, support@bniconnect.com, and I will get an answer for you. Sound good? All right. So the rest of this is going to be just kind of like, really editing a Word document. If you've ever edited a Word document, you can pretty much get this site looking the way you want it to from a creative standpoint. You can highlight, you can delete stuff, you can type in here. Most of these commands here are going to be typical ones that you would see in any Word editing program. We can make stuff bold, make stuff italic, underline, all the typical stuff we can do with a Word document. And you can add, bulleted and numbered lists. Increase the indents and things like that. Some specific things, by the way, if you are a web novice, that's perfectly fine. I would pretty much consider myself a web novice. One thing you'll learn pretty quickly, though, don't ever, never, ever, ever, ever copy and paste from Microsoft Word directly onto your website. It will make a mess. Just Word has just so many different fonts and styles and things like that that aren't appropriate for the web that it will just kind of look like garbage. So I highly recommend that you do the editing from in here. There is a paste from Word button here, as somebody just brought up. You can basically copy and paste into here and then copy it back into the site to paste it. So essentially that's doing the same as copying and pasting it into Notepad. That's another way to do it. And then being able to put it in here. That'll strip all of the formatting out of it. That's kind of illegal for the websites. All right, so good call, Eric. You did see that. All right, so of course we have, we do recommend sticking with Arial. That is our branded font for BNI, but you do have other choices in there. But you can, of course, change the size. You can change the color. All right, I can change the color of the text. I can change highlighting. All sorts of fun stuff. Some specific things with websites that aren't necessarily in like Microsoft Word. So let's say that you want to get a picture on here. So I want to get a picture, right here. I can do that by clicking this picture button. And this is where you will browse your library. So click Browse Server. That will bring you to your library, and now you can pick the pictures. So there is going to be a couple of default stock photography in there, but let's say I want this, this Get Connected, Stay Connected thing. I can change the size of it if I want to. And now I have a picture in there. Pretty straightforward. Also, things that you may want to do is hyperlinks. So let's say I wanted to say, go to the support site. And I wanted support site to be a hyperlink to support.bniconnect.com. I could click this, highlight it, choose the link button, and have this go to support.bniconnect.com. And now it'll be underlined in blue to indicate that it is a hyperlink. You can also hyperlink, of course, pictures, kind of turn them more into buttons if you'd like to. And I mean, that's really all there is to it. There's, of course, way more advanced stuff, buttons and forms and stuff like that. But that is way beyond the scope of what this basic introduction is, and will require some more really web programming knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save here. It'll give us a quick preview. I'm going to close that out and go visit our gorgeous new site. Whoops, I forgot to publish again. Let me go back and publish that. And now, drum roll, our gorgeous new chapter website. I'm sure you guys will do a much better job than I do when editing your own chapter websites. But that's okay, because I can always go back and edit this content. I'm going to go back to my source here and copy and paste back in the original. And now I should be able to be back to normal. Yay! And there we are. So that is the chapter websites. What I'd like to do is open this up for any questions. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask those now. While you're typing in any questions, just a reminder, we are recording this. We will make it available on our support site as well as on our YouTube channel. One question I know I always get asked, and I haven't seen it asked yet today, but is, can we add any pages to the site? And the answer to that one is no. You are limited to the number of pages that we have here currently. Again, some of the pages like the news page and the gallery page, those can be repurposed to an extent. I know some regions use the gallery page more as like a blog style, and you have pretty open formatting options with the news page as well. So there's those possibilities for you. All right, let's see. Rich says, can we view the meta tags from other chapters so that we can see examples? Unfortunately, you'll only have access to your own website. If you'd like some examples of meta tags, what I would say is shoot an email into us here, support@bniconnect.com. I will hook you up with Frank, our website expert, and he can give you some advice on that one. All right, would that help? All right, Eric says, is there a reference sheet for the data elements? There is not. There is only one data element right now. The only data element is this TYFCB. This thank you for closed business number is going to be the previous 12 months of thank you for closed business. So right now it's showing through the end of September. And then next month, it will then roll and show through the end of October. So that number will not change on a daily basis or a weekly basis. It will only change once a month. Okay, does that help, Eric? I do wish there were many more variables, but at this time, it's only the one. All right, what other questions you guys have? I love questions. And if there's no additional questions, what I'm going to say is, thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. The next webinar, by the way, a great referral for me is if you could go back to your chapters. If you found today's webinar helpful and the style and how we presented and everything, I do a whole series for members that's coming up starting next week. I'm going to be going through every aspect of BNI Connect from a member perspective. I'm going to start out with how to fill out your profile next Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about how to utilize the online referrals in BNI Connect. On Thursday, we're going to talk about this kind of the social media side of it. How do we connect with other members around the world? How do we do testimonials and things like that? Then the following week, I'll take a deep dive into BNI Connect and look at some of the tools and reports. And then finally, on the 19th of October, we're going to talk about how do we register the whole visitor process in BNI Connect, because it is a multi-step process. So again, good referrals for me. Please help me promote these webinars, and I'd love to see your names appear on the list a couple more times this month. All right, I don't see any additional questions, so I'm just going to say thank you so much for being here, and have an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and have a nice weekend. Happy connecting.